Lindsey. Guy will be leading things off as it'll be trying to find a first name, Luke Spencer, to lead things off. 5'10", 170-pound rising senior at Lake Lehman High School. The first pitch is tagged foul, first base side, 0-1. On the mound today for Lindsey is Gavin Mikulski from North Penn High School up in the Lansdale, Pennsylvania area, north of Philadelphia. The 0-1. Curveball bounces up for a ball, 1-1. I'll get you this lineup in just a moment. The teams have a chance to warm up between games, but we still have to get lineups and write everything in by hand. The next pitch is a fastball, misses inside for a ball. 2-1 the count to Spencer. It'll be Spencer, Zane Janikowski, and Zach Luksick, the scheduled hitters here in the first. Next pitch is on the inside corner with the fastball for a strike, 2-2. In case you were not with us for our first game, 3 outs or 5 batters, hour 50 time limit. The next one is low for a ball, 3-2. Now, an hour 50 time limit can kind of waver slightly, depending on whether or not they need to play a bottom half of the 7th inning or make sure that everybody has the number of at-bats that they need to get during the day. The 3-2. Fastball up high. So, even though that is a 3-2 count, now the count reverts. And it'll be an 0-2 count, but only fastballs until the at-bat is over. The wind and the 3-2. Taken foul again, or check that, the 0-2. Taken foul.
And in our first game, it took us a while, maybe 2 or 3 innings before we had that first reset. Both pitchers had some good command, so seeing that first reset early on in this game.
The 0-2 called strike 3. So Spencer down on strikes. 1 away, and that'll bring up Zane Janikowski.
Nice location there with the 2-strike fastball. Mikulski dotting the bottom half of the plate.
The first pitch is over the inside corner, knee-high with a breaking ball for a strike to Janikowski, 0-1.
And talk about snapping it off. A lot of confidence in an 0-0 count to start with the first pitch breaking ball opens a lot of things up.
Next one, pretty good pitch. That one hung a little bit, but definitely had the batter fooled, 0-2 the count. From the wind, the 0-2. Bounding ball out towards short. It eats the shortstop up. He came across and charged it, but kind of played it into a short hop. That's Matt Benner out at short. That'll bring up Zach Luksick. Luksick, a rising senior at Dallas Area High School. Runner goes, pitches over for a strike, throw to second is in time for the out. What an absolute cannon there. Displayed by the catcher, Joe Limoncelli.
And credit Eric Stradling. The throw was on time, on target, but a little bit high. Stradling with a good job to get the tag down just in time to get the runner.
Pitch was a strike, so the count 0-1. 2 down and the base is empty now as the next pitch is low for a ball. It's been primarily curveballs from Mikulski early on. The wind and the 1-1 is tagged out into left center field, and that'll get down for a base hit. Well, it's almost obligatory to say, well, now, how big was that caught stealing? Because instead of first and second, or if the runner is safe, first and third right now, and 1 out, you got a runner on first with 2 out. This is going to bring up Todd Kolbicka, Hanover Area High School. Runner goes, pitches low for a ball. Limoncelli will throw it. My double clutched it, so really didn't have much of a chance, although it was still a strong throw. But Luxick steals second.
He had the double clutch because he had reached down, looked like a little bit of a breaking ball down at the ankles, so not the greatest transition on the throw.
And tough pitch to throw on. Slide step from Mikulski as that one is hit out into center field. That'll drop in for a base hit. Runner being waved around. The throw is way up the third base line. Luxick will score on the RBI single by Kolbicka, who takes second on the throw.
And that's part of the fundamentals. You got to hit the cutoff man on the throw to home plate. That throw offline up the third baseline from right center field gives the runner who has a single the opportunity, since it's offline, to easily get to second base and remain in scoring position.
And I'll bring up Rocco Valvano. Valvano will be the final batter of the inning, number 5. Mikulski's first is down and away for a ball. 1-0 the count to Valvano. From the stretch, the 1-0. Swing and a miss. 1-1 to Valvano. Mikulski sets, checks the runner at second. 1-1 is a little tapper out in front of the plate. Lemoncelli up with it, fires to first in time. Boy, he really impressed with the arm this inning. And the side is retired. 1 run across on 3 hits. No errors, 1 left. We go to the bottom of the first. 1 on the board for Guy. Lindsey coming to bat. Bottom half of the first inning. A run on the board for a Guy. Lindsey coming to bat, as it'll be the center fielder Josh Martaccio, second baseman Eric Stradling, and the shortstop Matt Benner to lead things off. Facing off against Duke Stefersky. First pitch to Martaccio. It's a low for a ball, 1-0. Just in the warm-ups, Stefersky looked like he had some pretty good velocity as Martaccio lines that one out into center field for a base hit. So unlike our last game, where hits were hard to come by early on for both teams, we've seen both teams come out swinging and finding some open spaces early in this one.
A little bit later in the day, these guys having a chance to wake up, get their swings in the cage. Not that the kids from earlier did not, but it's a lot harder hitting early in the morning.
Stradling lines one out into deep center field. That ball is going to be tracked down at the wall. Martaccio will retreat to first. And they are not making Stefersky work. 3 pitches, already a runner on first, 1 out. And I'll bring up the shortstop, Matt Benner. Third baseman R.J. Agris bats 4th. Joe Limoncelli catches and hits 6th. Matthew Edwards at first base batting 7th. J.J. O'Neill is in right field and batting 8th. His first pitch is down and in for a ball to Benner, 1-0. And then we have a couple of extra hitters. Kyle Krupa, Alexander Evans. Evan, so I am looking for the name really quickly because I can't read my own handwriting, as the next pitch is a strike. Evan Holohan. Sean Brennan, Zach Zielinski is the left fielder, and then Zach Rodriguez will finish out the order. 1-1 the count. To Benner as the next pitch is a good fastball, knee high, outer half for a strike. 1-2 the count. Most of these teams have their starting pitchers scheduled, or all of their pitchers scheduled, for about 2 innings today. Runner goes. The pitch is grounded out towards second. Only 1 play. That's on to first. Play is made. 2 down in the inning. Taking second is going to be Martaccio. And I'll bring up the third baseman, R.J. Agris.
And you mentioned to me during the break, Chad, you're a fan of the name Duke Stefersky. I got to say, I love the flow. We saw Parmalee with that long blonde hair in the early game. I'm a big fan of the flow from these youngsters out on the mound.
Well, in this one, I mean, he could, he might need to dye his hair at some point just because, the pitchers aren't allowed to wear bling because it can distract the hitters. I mean, that is as platinum blonde as it's going to get. His first pitch is over for a strike. I mean, the sun catches that the wrong way. You're going to wind up being blinded.
Makes you tough to hit. Is there a rule that your hair can't be a certain color? I mean, can't you argue that this is the way God made me? I don't know.
The 0-1 is tagged foul down the first base side. Nothing into the count.
You know what I mean? It's an interesting area of the rule book.
I mean, obviously, this is all in jest. Nobody is ever going to say that somebody has to dye their hair because it's too bright a color off of the sun.
I'll tell you what, though, if Pedro Martinez got wind that he could have just dyed his hair blonde, it would have been a lot easier than cutting his sleeves back in the day.
The 0-2. Down and away for a ball, 1-2. Runner breaks and is out, going for third on the delayed steal. Boy, both catchers have shown off a nice arm. And the inning comes to a close. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on base. Kovalchuk to lead things off. It'll be Kovalchuk, Myers, and Cesarini to face off against left-hander Gavin Mikulski. Kovalchuk, a rising senior at Valley View High School, as the first pitch is lined out into left field for a base hit. First, we're seeing a lot more first pitch swinging in this game than we did in the first one, and hitters are getting results with it.
And that's what I was taught coming up in the middle school and high school ranks is, look, at this level, jump on that first pitch fastball if you get it. It's a lot easier to hit first pitch fastballs no matter where they are in the zone. I don't care if it's middle away, middle in. You get a first pitch fastball and it's a straight pitch, best chance to hit something.
Pickoff attempt over at first base. The ball skitters by the first baseman. It's Matthew Edwards, but it's chased down before any advance by Kovalchuk. Kovalchuk, I should say. Not Ilya Kovalchuk.
I will elaborate on that, though, Chad. You do want to get first pitch fastball swings if you can, but if you notice pitchers are getting first pitch outs consistently, then as a team you have to make the adjustment. You don't want somebody to have an easy first couple of innings because you're swinging at that first pitch too often. You want to work the count against guys, especially when pitchers only have to go 7 innings in high school versus the 9-inning full game at the major league or minor league level.
There's a 1-0 count now to Luke Myers, who takes another fastball, lumping away 2-0. And that's one other thing is that if you know you're going to get a first pitch fastball, might as well just take a swing at it if it's anywhere in the zone. Command is not always the sharpest, especially early in games. The 2-0 is a fastball high, 3-0. 3 balls, no strikes to Luke Myers. Ryan Cesarini waiting on deck. The next one is a fastball low. So the count resets to 0-0 since there were no strikes. Mikulski can only throw fastballs. I actually didn't think he had thrown a breaking ball in this at-bat anyway. The 0-0 runner goes. Pitch is popped up back behind the plate. See how close to us that lands. Well, not very close because we didn't hear it hit concrete.
So the hit and run was on there, and that's an intelligent call. Knowing your batter's going to get a fastball, he's going to know how to identify this pitch no matter where the location is. So let's get the runner in motion, so if there's contact, we're all moving.
That's a great point, and that's the advantage of knowing that that fastball was coming. So next one is fouled straight back. 0-2 the count on Myers. Definitely starting to warm up here in Dunmore, PA.
A little bit of shade from some clouds right now, which is keeping it relatively cool. But to your point, when that sun's shining bright, it is brutal out there.
Runner is picked off, leaning. Throw down to second is in time. 1-3-6 on the caught stealing. And there is one away, and now officially an 0-2 count. This game starting at 84 degrees. Humidity's it's starting to not become a factor. Still at 58%. Real field temperature is 89. The 0-2. Misses inside for a ball. 1-2.
It's supposed to get up a little bit higher by the end of the day, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought I saw 87 or 88. So on the line, the 1-2. Chopper off the glove of Mikulski, barehanded by the third baseman, R.J. Agers, but he's not going to have a play. And that's the play that we were talking about, and that's going to be an infield single. That's a play that we were talking about in our first game today that both third basemen tried to force a throw to show what they could do. And again, we're going to talk about this all day long because different games, different audiences. But we're going to talk about this all game long in as much as it's just as important to show what you've got above the shoulders as below it. And Agres knew as the first pitch on the way to Cesarini is fouled off the first base side, 0-1 to Ryan Cesarini. It is so important to show, and Agres knew, especially with that being a high chopper, that had already slowed down by ticking off the glove of the pitcher. And by the way, heck of an effort there by Mikulski. But Agris knew that if he throws that ball, the only thing that can happen is bad. The next pitch is over for a strike, 0-2. He could throw it high. He could bounce it. He could throw it wide. Those are the only things that can happen because the runner's already pretty much safe. Mikulski sets. The 0-2. He has another one breaking early. This is going to be closer. The throw to second is not in time. A stolen base for Myers. The pitch is a ball. So 1-2 on Cesarini.
What a deceptive move, though, by the left-hander Mikulski. That's twice in the same inning. Back-to-back guys on base that he gets snapping.
So next pitch is a curveball that bounces up. Runner breaks for third, and he'll be in safely on the wild pitch. And you could kind of tell that was going to be a breaking ball just by the way the catcher had set up for it. I don't know if the batter was able to hear the shift or anything. And again, that'll be a wild pitch. But from our vantage point, you could just kind of see the way he was setting up and almost gearing up to already drop down. It's the 1-2. Low for a ball, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, every now and then as a hitter, you kind of get that feeling where that catcher is positioning himself. And every now and then you kind of want to just look down, see out of the corner of your eye. You know, it doesn't hurt to do that. Obviously, if you get caught napping, you're looking at strike three. But it's just that plate awareness.
So next one bounces up again, and it's 3-2. It's an interesting note, and we had said, didn't know if the batter could hear him creep to the outside corner. But that was one thing that, there are some baseball purists who are not happy as major league games are getting played and they're adding crowd noise to them. And if you're not happy about that, you're really not going to be happy about the games on Fox where they're adding fans in. That one is fouled off the first base side. Into foul territory, making the catch is Edwards for the second out of the inning. Saw some of the animation for that. And it's like, I think I saw that guy back behind home plate constantly walking up and down the stairs in my MLB 15 game. But all joking aside, there is actually a strategic reason for putting the crowd noise in the stadium. It's not necessarily even for the players to be able to just talk, just to be able to kind of be in a normal setting. Is Jake Millen the batter? First pitch to Millen is a high chop out towards third. Agris double clutches. His throw is not in time, and a run's going to score on the infield single. And it is 2-0. Guy on top. Credit Millen with an RBI. We hear Joe Girardi talk about it as J.D. Greeley will be the batter. He said that he's in favor of it, if for no other reason than it's a strategic item. You don't want other teams picking up signals based off of hearing you in the dugout. It's already, with the first pitch is a strike, 0-1. It's already enough of an issue in the game, sign stealing, people catching on to what you're doing, and obviously nothing displays that more than everything that happened with the Astros and Red Sox this past offseason. But you don't want to give them an extra advantage from being able to hear what you're shouting from the dugout, nor do you want the batter to necessarily hear which way the catcher may be setting up behind them. There's a very interesting discussion on it.
There's also conversations at the mound. Given you have to be 6 feet apart with COVID, can you hear what a catcher and a pitcher are saying to one another?
Runner goes, pitch is outside for a ball. Throw to second is not in time.
Now, obviously, you don't have to necessarily be 6 feet apart, but are guys comfortable with a catcher getting close enough to be, that factors in, right? If there's no crowd noise and I'm on second base, I can hear everything you're saying.
Absolutely. We're a little closer than 6 feet apart. Again, also still wearing, still within social distancing guidelines, given the fact that we're both wearing masks here. So, but I could hear you, but who else can hear us? That's a diving ball out towards short. The runner's going to round third, not slow down, come home, and he is out at the plate. An infield single for Greeley, who would have been the last batter of the inning anyway, but then the out is recorded at home plate 6-2 to end the inning. We're going to head to the bottom of the second inning, but we're going to keep this conversation right here. It's a great point. If I'm not wearing a mask, if you're wearing a mask, or you're not. You're a pitcher. I'm a catcher on the mound.
Right.
In order for us to be able to talk loudly, and we're able to hear each other through the magic of earphones right now. But if I have to talk loudly enough to be heard, and even if I'm covering my mouth with my glove, are you going to be able to hear me clearly without a runner on second or a runner or either of the base coaches here?
Exactly.
So there is a strategic point to making sure that there is the crowd noise in the stadiums.
Well, 100%. Now, where it becomes a more interesting conversation, and obviously we're playing baseball, we're watching baseball here today, in the NBA, the crowd noise, it's such a home court advantage because the crowd has its highs and lows, but it follows the atmosphere and the natural flow of the game. How do you pump in crowd noise in the fourth quarter artificially?
I mean, I'll question that. Have you ever seen a game that involves, like Phoenix?
The Phoenix? Are you talking about the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah.
Well, there's not much of a crowd noise there, but I'm talking,
or Sacramento. Then again, neither of them are in the restart.
Fair enough.
As it'll be Agris back at the plate. He was at the plate when the runner was caught. That is one of the most awkwardly bounced balls that I have ever, and I've had to block a ball like that before, where you don't block it. So, I mean, the textbook here that you are supposed to do, that's 1-0 the count to Agris. You are supposed to, when you know a ball is going to bounce, drop down, shoot the glove hand and your bare hand between the legs so it doesn't go through the 5-hole. Don't try to catch it. Bounce, knock it down with your chest. Unfortunately, our catcher in this case, Evan Holohan, Rocco Valvano, had to block that one with his face mask. I will give him a ton of credit for that. The 2-1. That hit him or the bat along the way?
It looked like it was tight into the letters, but I think that Valvano was calling for it on the outer half of the plate. He set up there, so to reach back inside, it just tipped his glove. He wasn't able to haul it in.
The next one is outside ball 4, so the count will reset at 0-1. Okay, because I obviously we heard it hit the backstop, but I did think I heard a second tick before the backstop. The 3-1 is driven out into deep left center field. That ball is going to take one hop and roll all the way back to the wall. Agris heading for second. He's going to try for a 3, and he will be out at third base on the relay that goes 7-6-5 on the out at third.
What a relay. I thought Agris had time to walk to third base. They got that in so quickly from the outfield. That's textbook, Chad.
7-6-5 on the out. Credit Agris with a double. And I'll bring up the catcher, Lemoncelli.
And I don't blame Agris or the coaching staff at all for trying to stretch that into 3. That was just masterfully done by the outfield.
So first pitch is upstairs to Lemoncelli. The one question I would have is, there are not foot markers anywhere as far as, or distance markers anywhere, but it does seem, the next pitch is outside for a ball 2-0, like this is a relatively shallow outfield. And I say that for 2 reasons. One, if this were a fully regularly distanced outfield, I don't think you'd have 24-foot high walls right here.
Right.
Which you have all the way around this stadium. So you've got these massive walls that are probably trying to protect against home runs, because otherwise, under normal circumstances, balls are going to fly over the fence without any issue. So that would be my question as to what are the dimensions. The next pitch is over the outside corner at the knees for a strike, 2-1. Because a lot of the time when you have those massive walls, as far as height goes, it's because it's a shallow fence. Did he go around?
Not sure based on the signal.
Yes, he did. The count moves to 2-2. I can give you 2 perfect examples of that in the minor leagues that I've seen. Just a bit inside. And the count is 3-2. And probably the best one is at a ballpark named T.R. Hughes Ballpark in O'Fallon, Missouri, where the right field wall is 46 feet high. So that one is off the fists out towards short. Throw on to first is in time. Boy, this shortstop has really impressed Luke Spencer. He had the relay in to make the final cut throw over to first base. And then a nice play coming in and charging that ball off the fists there as the batter will be Matthew Edwards, the first baseman. Again, that is ripped foul down the third base line, nothing in one. 46 feet high on the wall, but that's because it's only 299 down the right field line there. You know, in Sauget, Illinois, at I think it's now GCS Ballpark. It's had a couple of different names over the years. That ballpark is it's a bandbox. It's actually 301 down the right field line with a 4-foot high wall. 325 into the right field power alley with a 4-foot high wall. But on the other side, it's 320 down the left field line with a 17-foot high wall. So, seeing the high walls here as the next pitch is upstairs for a ball. 1-1. Seeing the high walls here, it makes me wonder if it's a shallow outfield or if they're just trying to protect and save baseballs.
Well, it's interesting because down the right field line, it definitely feels as if from where we're sitting, this is a rectangle. Left center looks to be one of the corners of the rectangle.
Also a good point is that one is a little humpback line drive out towards second. Tough play over to first is in time for the final out of the inning. You want to finish the thought?
Well, I was going to finish the thought because I played on a similar shaped field in high school where it was a rectangle. Left center field was a corner of the rectangle. Center field was halfway on that side, and that's kind of what we look like. But to your point too, left field as well has that tall fence all the way up until right around the left field corner is where it's about 7-8 feet high, but pretty much all the way around about 25-30 feet high is the wall.
That's a really good point, and the other thing is you do see soccer lines that are drawn on this field. You do see, it looks like actually vertically you see some field hockey lines that are drawn on this field. So obviously this is also a multi-use facility. So it is entirely possible that it is a rectangle. It also kind of looks like Wacona Park in Pittsfield where there was a corner out in right center field, and that's an interesting ballpark in and of itself, where the press box is on top of the roof. So balls come right back at you, and they can come in the press box at very high rates of speed. In fact, the one day that the reporter for the Berkshire Eagle was not there in 2011, we're very, very thankful because that ball would have ticketed right for where he always sat. And Unfortunately, the one day he wasn't there was the day that ball came in. But beyond that, it had a cutout, and that there was an area in right center field. The center field wall was 375, and right center it was 409 because the ball went out at an angle. It also was the only one of two ballparks in the entire country where home plate faces west. So the sun sets and you're looking into the sun.
Who was the brilliant architect that came up with that idea?
The person back in 1891 when the rules weren't codified. But with that in mind, you actually had about 4 or 5 sun delays a year.
Wow. That's incredible.
Because you'd have to wait for 5 or 10 minutes so the batters could see. The only other ballpark in the entire country like that is out in Bakersfield, California. Right. And they counteract that by starting their games at 7:57 p.m. local time, so the sun is already down. This is going to be Wyatt Pfeiffer to lead things off. 2-0. Guy on top. The first one is an off-speed pitch from our new pitcher, Sean Brennan. Cut on and missed. 0-1 the count to Pfeiffer. 2 innings in the books for the starter. Mikulski allows 2 runs. The next pitch bounces up for a ball. 1-1.
And I'll tell you, on the topic of field dimensions, I had a chance to work a couple summers ago as an intern at Nesson, New England Sports Network. And I was at Fenway Park for a bunch of games, and so to go on that field and just walk that outfield, it's incredible.
So next one bounces for a ball. 2-1.
It's just so cool to be there to see how they literally built that ballpark to fit the dimensions of the city around it and all the history that's associated with it. But that 37-foot wall right down left field, as this bunt is missed, I remember thinking, man, I could probably pop one out over that thing. So it's very enticing, very inviting for any hitter on the right-hand side of the plate who has a chance to visit Fenway Park.
From the windup, Brennan with the 2-2. Bouncing ball out towards first base. Picked by Edwards. He'll do an underhand flip to Brennan covering for the first out of the inning. Good job on both sides of that. And that's something that, as a young pitcher, you don't always do very well. You don't always have that instinct to get over to first base. So a nice job there by Brennan in order to do that. His batter will be Luke Spencer, who was called out on strikes his first time up.
That's what you call a 5 p.m. PFP. At least that's what we call it where I'm from. At 5 o'clock every practice, we're doing PFPs, pitcher fielders practice.
I will admit, as a broadcaster, as the first pitch is outside for a ball 1-0, and with the time I spent in the minors, I had a ridiculously unusual obsession with making sure I was in the press box to watch if I knew that a PFP was scheduled. I don't know why. I always loved watching pitchers fielding practice.
Well, I was a first baseman, so it's mandatory that all first basemen show up for PFPs. Second baseman recommended as well because you want to go over dead zone coverages as this is fist at the center.
Picked by the second baseman Stradling. His throw to first is in time for the out. I have been impressed by the defense from this Lindsey team thus far. They are very good fundamentally defensively, as there are 2 down in the inning, and the batter will be Januszewski. Base is empty and 2 down, top of the third, 2-0 guy. The first on the way. Off speed, low for a ball, 1-0.
And I'll tell you what, Januszewski, he's a built kid. I'd love to see him give one a ride, make solid contact here.
The next one is bounced out towards short. It eats the shortstop Benner up. That's going to be an E6. So, of course, just as soon as we talk about how we've been impressed by the defense.
Classic broadcaster's jinx.
You know, I have told people this before. I actually had somebody one time come up to me after somebody didn't throw a no-hitter the day before. Lost it in I think it was in the 7th inning. His batter will be Zach Luxick. Single stolen base and a run scored in the first. And they came up to me and were very, very animated and upset. The first pitch is outside for a ball, 1-0. That I had said that the pitcher had the no-hitter through 5 innings. That's what I've always done. And it was absolute. I mean, if looks could kill, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So the next pitch is inside for a ball, 2-0. And I just told him, look, you know, people are tuning in all the time. You got to let them know what's going on. Now, I'm not going to do it before the 5th inning, but the 5th inning's halfway over. The game's official. I'm going to mention it. And, you know, the whole thing, oh, you jinxed him. It's your fault. And it's like the runner goes on a delayed steal, and that one does work as they caught the infield napping. No real coverage at second base there. So Januszewski takes second. Not sure what that pitch was, whether it was a ball or a strike. Scoreboard does not have it up. It was a ball, so the count 3-0. Anyway, just to get back to that, and to finish the thought about the whole broadcaster jinx, because I know a lot of people do, you know, believe in that. The next pitch is a strike, 3-1. Look, I've called 2 no-hitters. I've called a lot of games where I've said it after the 5th inning, and they don't throw no-hitter. And I'll say this, if anything I say upstairs has any bearing on what's going on down in the field, then there are 2 things that are true. 1, I should have 7 championship rings, and every team that I've ever worked for would have gone 96-0. That one's bounded foul. And 2, I'm not getting paid near enough.
You know, I'll give you,
He just kind of turned, looked at me, and walked away after that. It's like, okay. So the whole point is, yes, I said we've been really impressed by the defense, and I guess I'm kind of giving a defensive answer. And, of course, as soon as I say that, there's an error, but.
Well, I always was not a fan of, as we got a 3-1 count, so I'll hold off till after the pitch.
Time is called, so you were saying.
Well, as I was saying, working in a broadcast truck outside of Fenway Park that summer, if I noted when Chris Sale was pitching how great his pace of play was and how, man, it's the 7th inning and it's only been an hour and a half, I would get railed it was an earful all night long. I was the intern. How dare I jinx the broadcast?
The next pitch is lifted into shallow center field. Coming on is Martocchio, and he will put it away for the final out of the inning. Well, that is one thing I will say. If you talk about the pace of play, then it will automatically slow down. And it doesn't go in reverse, unfortunately.
I did it for a Chris Sale game. It was the 9th inning. I said, man, that game went by quick. And they said, man, intern, that tomorrow's going to be 13 innings in 5 hours, and you're not here for it. If it happens, it's your fault. And I was like, oh, man, you can't lose. You can't win with these guys. You just can't do it. There's no way around it. So
we'll be back in the bottom of the 3rd inning, 2-0 guy on top. Bottom half of the 3rd inning, it'll be J.J. O'Neill, Kyle Krupa, and Alexander Evans to face off against Duke Stefersky. Stefersky hasn't thrown a ton of pitches early on in the first 2 innings, so he's going to get a 3rd here, kind of like Matt Martin did in the first game, as the first pitch is upstairs for a ball.
See, that's where the disadvantage of swinging at first pitch strikes comes into play, because this lineup aggressive early on, but Stefersky hasn't had to work too hard as a result of that.
Ball 2-0. In fact, that was just his 25th pitch over the course of now 2+ innings. So, yes, Stefersky does need a little bit of extra work here. It's into the wind. Next pitch is outside for a ball. 3-0. He's allowed 2 hits. 1 runner has been cut down, caught stealing on a delayed steal attempt, and another one was thrown out on a beautiful relay coming from the left fielder, shortstop to 3rd base. The next one is fouled straight back. 3-1, the count to O'Neill. O'Neill, a rising senior at Downingtown East High School, 5'10", 165 pounds. The 3-1. Fouled straight back, and the count now full. 3 balls, 2 strikes to J.J. O'Neill. Playing out in right field to start this game. Again, this game started at 11:15. So 1:05 is our time limit for this one, and it's not pacing as the next pitch is a curveball down and away, so we'll reset to 0-2 now, and only fastballs from Stefersky the rest of the at-bat. Not pacing quite as well as our previous game did. We're in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and we're already at 45 minutes. The other game was in the bottom of the 5th at its halfway point. As the next pitch is outside, 1-2.
Well, you mentioned halfway points. I know that there's some fans sticking around to watch just this game. We're not at all halfway point yet, Jeff. This is going to be a nice slate of games for us today.
So from the wind, the 1-2. Upstairs, 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes to J.J. O'Neill. The even-up offering is fouled straight back again.
Yeah, for us, 4 games in one day, it's almost like watching an entire series that you'd see in a four 4-game slate Thursday through Sunday.
I was going to say, this is a Missouri Valley Conference. I'm not kidding. It's a Missouri Valley Conference series because you figure most of our games are going to go about 7 innings.
Right.
So the way that a lot of conferences that do play 4-game schedules go, they'll play 9s on Friday and Sunday and 2 7s on Saturday.
Right.
Well, we're not that far off from this. The next one is outside ball 3, so it's 3-2. So if this pitch is a ball, it is a walk for O'Neill, as it is high for ball 4. So counted as a double walk for J.J. O'Neill leading off the 3rd inning. If we're concerned that Stefersky hadn't thrown enough pitches.
He did in that at bat.
It'll bring up Kyle Krupa.
I think he might have thrown close to as many pitches in that at bat as he threw in his first 2 innings of work.
Yeah, you're not far off. He had thrown 23 through the first 2 innings, 10 in that extended at bat as the first pitch to Krupa is cut on and missed for a strike, 0-1. Krupa, rising senior at Perkiomen Valley High School, slated in as an extra hitter today, though he will probably see the field at some point. Beautiful curveball. Locked him up on the outside corner knee high. 0-2.
EH was always my favorite position. You tell me I could sit in the dugout, go take some hacks in the batting cage off the tee while we're on defense? Yeah, I'll take that.
Low for a ball that bounces up. They're still going to get a throw down. Not in time. It'll be a stolen base for O'Neill.
Now, obviously, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time away from your family. But, man, imagine being David Ortiz, Edgar Martinez. You're telling me I go to a ballpark and I just hit baseballs every day?
Harold Baines later in his career.
Oh, man. Come on.
Jay Bruce now.
Come on.
Although Jay Bruce is probably going to play left field a little bit. So the next one bounces up, gets away from the catcher, and moving up to 3rd on the wild pitch is going to be J.J. O'Neill.
Well, I'm a Yankees fan, so half our lineup is DHs at this point.
That's a really good point.
It is interesting. You'd think that having a lot of offense is good, but a lot of them can't play the field. Not to throw shade at anybody, but...
Oh, please do. The next one is fouled back.
Not to name names. I got a, big fan, but... When you got guys, defense is so undervalued. I'll give you a guy, and not to stay on the Yankees too much, but Gio Urshela comes up, hits 25 home runs, 25 home runs, but his defense at 3rd, game-changing.
And not in a good way. So next one is...
Well, I think you're thinking about Miguel Andujar. Urshela is a great defensive third baseman.
You're right.
What I'm saying, though, is, and this is the point of sabermetrics, in a regular season, you could get away with a guy who could hit but can't field. Not in the playoffs.
So next one is looped out towards 2nd. Catch is made for the first out of the inning. 1 down, and it'll bring up Alexander Evans. And to that point, I flat out remember, and this might actually be it for Stefersky, because he now has gone around the 40 pitch mark. But to that point, I remember, you're talking about, some of those Phillies teams in 08 and 09. Wes Helms was horrendous defensively at 3rd base. I mean, you would bring in Pedro Feliz for defensive purposes in the 6th inning.
Right.
And I just remember thinking, it looks like Stefersky is going to stay out there. I was wondering if he had hit pitch count numbers that they were looking for and thus we're going to bring in their 3rd and 4th inning pitchers. I mean, I remember thinking a cardboard cutout probably had more defensive range than Wes Helms. The ball hits the cutout, you're automatically out. So you never had a problem with the arm. It was just getting to anything. When your defensive replacement's getting 2 at-bats a game, that's a problem. The first pitch to Evans is upstairs for a ball with a fastball. 1-0 the count to Alexander Evans. For those who are wondering, by the way, why we're talking about the 08-09 Phillies and last year's Yankees, as the next pitch is bounced up for a ball. 2-0. We're obviously telling you what's going on in these games. We've also got 28 innings to be working together today, and we're on number 10.
Well, I'll tell you what, we brought up the 2007 Tampa Bay Devil Race. That's right in my wheelhouse, that era of baseball.
Next one is fouled back. 2-1.
At one point, it's been 12 years now, but I could tell you the starting lineups, I think, for opening day for all 30 Major League Baseball teams that year. So that was my year where I nerded out, and I really went all in. But that's, that was my era for baseball.
The next one is popped foul First base side out of play, 2-2 the count. And how were your grades that year?
Surprisingly, I did pretty well. But the one thing that did, I was very overweight that year. I spent a lot of time in my room reading and studying stats and doing homework. Not a lot of exercise.
The 2-2. Cut on and foul tipped into the middle of the catcher for strike 3. First strikeout for Stefersky, 2 down, and it'll bring up Evan Holohan.
I'm gonna quote one of my idols, Kobe Bryant, and rest in peace. He said, "Man, if people knew how much I love basketball, right, and it wasn't basketball, if it was collecting cards, they'd think I was a nerd. How much I loved it." And I that's how I was at baseball. I would just sit up at night and I would read the baseball almanac. I would read the baseball encyclopedia, falling asleep reading stat lines of guys who played in the 90s.
It's from the stretch, the 1-0. Upstairs for a ball. 2-0 to Holohan. Runner on third with 2 down. In the bottom of the third inning. 2-0 Guy atop Lindsey. Lindsey at the plate. Lindsey wearing the orange-colored uniforms. Guy in the home whites. Even though Guy is the road team today. The next one is outside for a ball. 3-0. Stefersky has not looked quite as sharp as he did in the first couple of innings as he has in the third. And to your point that we made in the first game, with the starting pitcher in that contest as the 3-0 is ripped out into center field. Center fielder turned the wrong way on it, had to spin around. 1 run is in. Holohan will stop at second with a double. Lindsey is on the board. It's now 2-1 on the RBI double by Evan Holohan. But to your point, even though they may have pitched in a showcase prior to this, again, these young players have not played a spring season. They did not play high school ball this spring. Maybe they got a week of games in before everything got shut down. The first pitch is down and away to Sean Brennan, who is now on the mound for Lindsey.
Something you also have to factor in is the heat. As a pitcher, and especially as it gets hotter and hotter as the game goes, sweat, your grip on the ball, you start to lose command at certain points.
Next pitch is outside for a ball, 2-0. And it's not like these guys haven't been working out. They haven't been playing catch. They haven't been doing things like that with everybody. But it's different in a game situation to throw 25 pitches than it is to play catch and throw 25 pitches. Or now upwards of 40 for Stefersky. That one is lifted out into right field, hit well. It is deep, and it is off the fence. Coming in to score is Holohan, stopping at first. And again, that is a short wall out in right. But Brennan aboard with a single, and being broadcasters who are talking about a pitcher hitting, we are contractually obligated to say he helps his own cause. And as the 5th batter of the inning, that is the end of the inning. So we head to the 4th, tied at 2 on SFBN. Top half of the fourth inning, 2-2 ball game between Guy and Lindsey. Guy coming up to the plate, and it'll be Kolbicka to lead things off. Todd Kolbicka, Rocco Valvano, and Zach Kovalchik to face off against Sean Brennan, who just had an RBI single to tie the game. Kolbicka, an RBI single his first time up. It's Brennan into his windup, and the first to Kolbicka is low for a ball. 1-0 the count to Todd Kolbicka.
And those clouds starting to creep in a little bit. And I know it's a hot day, but this is a nice little bit of relief for a few minutes.
You know, I was just, as you said, the clouds are starting to creep in as the next pitch is low for a ball, 2-0. As you said, the clouds are starting to creep in. I was actually thinking, boy, it actually feels quite a bit nicer. Yes, we've got the marquee over us, and we are very, very thankful for everything that SFBN has been able to provide for us today, both in terms of cover, shade, electricity, power, the whole 9 yards. The next one is ball 4, so the count will reset at 0-0. And also, not for nothing else, baseball in front of us, which is something that neither of us have gotten to see. The last time I got to work a game was in March. So the opportunity to be out at a baseball stadium, the next pitch is upstairs for a ball, 1-0. The last time I got to be out at a baseball stadium was 4.5 months ago. So just to be able to be out here, even with having to have some of the modifications that we do, is a true joy, hot or not. The next one is fouled off, 1-1.
Yeah, sports in general, having it back in our lives, it's just such a big part, not just ourselves, Chad, but for everybody watching this broadcast, everybody here today. You don't realize how much of a part of your life it is until you don't have it anymore.
I will not forget being up at 9 a.m. on July 9th. His next pitch, a good fastball on the inside corner, belt high for strike 2, 1-2 the count. Was making sure that I had my TV on at 9 a.m. on July 9th to see that first Philadelphia Union game. It was the 1-2. Lined out into right center field. That's going to drop in front of the right fielder O'Neill for a base hit. So Kolbicka a leadoff single. Going to bring up the catcher Rocco Valvano, who is bounding out to his opposite number the first time up.
I'll tell you what, one of the cooler moments for me watching sports this summer was, and you might be able to relate to this, it was an exhibition game, Phillies playing the Yankees, and a pinch hitter came to the plate by the last name of O'Hoppy, who grew up in the New York area, a huge Yankees fan, and Girardi and the Phillies brought him along just so he could get an at-bat at Yankee Stadium. He pinch hit, he had a smile on his face the whole time, flew out to left.
First pitch is upstairs, 1-0.
He missed homering by about 5 feet, but comes to the dugout saying, man, that was pretty cool. Like that smile on his face the whole time. I was like, wow, that must be fun. Good for that kid.
I mean, you have to love it when hometown people who rooted for their hometown teams have an opportunity to play either for or, not even against the teams that they may have grown up rooting for, but have a chance to be in that stadium, in that experience. You talk about the Phillies, a guy like Phil Gosselin, from the Abington area, gets to play now for the Phillies. I mean, probably grew up more going to games at the Vet than at Citizens Bank Park, although Citizens Bank Park is now 16 years old. So the next pitch is cut on and missed. Good riding fastball there from Brennan. 1-2 the count.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, probably most of the games he saw were CBP.
Probably. I'm the old guy who grew up at the Vet. But, just having that experience to get to put on a Phillies uniform, probably having the memories of growing up watching the 93 team, watching the 08 team. So next pitch is upstairs for a ball, 2-2. You mentioned O'Hoppy having the chance to play at Yankee Stadium. Just seeing those moments where you play in front of or in front of the crowd you grew up rooting for, or in front or at the stadium that you grew up watching games in. His next one fouled back. 2-2 the count holds. The runner will have to retreat to first. He was breaking on that play. That was Kolbicka. 2-2 ball game, top half of the fourth inning. This one is definitely, I think, going to run into a time limit before maybe even we get to the sixth. Because right now we are an hour into this game. Throw over to first and back in safely.
Well, you talk about playing there, and look, I obviously did not get the chance to ever play in a Major League Park, but just being on the field at Fenway, to kneel in that on-deck circle and think, Ted Williams knelt here, Babe Ruth stood here, that is incredible.
So the next one misses just high and away for a ball. 3-2, the count to Valvano with a runner on first. Nobody out top of the fourth, tied at 2. Game 2 of 4 on the day. Throw over, and Kolbicka back in safely. With a 3-2 count, we'll see if they do send Kolbicka here. Seen Limoncelli with a good arm. Runner does go as the pitch is up high, ball 4, throw to second, and out at second base is going to be Kolbicka. 2-4 caught stealing. Valvano will stay in now with an 0-2 count as that was ball 4.
Begs the question, was it an intentional pitch out there to try to get the runner?
That's a really good idea as the next one swung on and missed strike 3. You know what? I did not even think about that. But that pitch was up high. It was a perfect pitch to throw on because he was already out of his crouch. And you knew that you were going to start again 0-2.
Right.
That is a really good strategic point.
I don't know if that's what went down, but if it did, brilliant play.
You know what? It sounds really good. Kovalchik stands in.
If it sounds good, we're going with it.
Kovalchik singled and then was caught breaking early out at second, 1-3-6. The next one is a fastball low. Limoncelli tried to yank it back into the zone, but that was a little bit too low. That's going to be one of the things that's going to change over the next 5 or 6 years in baseball. That one is lifted out into right field and deep, going back, and that ball is gone. Solo home run, Zach Kovalchik. First homer that we have seen today, and Guy retakes the lead. 3-2 on the opposite field bomb by Zach Kovalchik.
Gave it a ride, sat back, let it get depth, on the outer half of the plate, and whether or not it's a short fence here, home run, double another ballpark, who cares? That's a well-struck ball down the opposite field line.
And a great swing and a great approach to just take the ball where it was pitched. The first pitch to Myers is over for a strike, 0-1. Myers singled, stole a base, advanced to third on a wild pitch, and came around to score on an RBI single by Jake Millen. Shortens to bunt, pulls the bat back, takes strike 2.
So many people think of a ballpark like Fenway, for example, and they think, oh, that favor right-handers. But look at a guy like Mo Vaughn or David Ortiz. They learned to shoot the ball to that left center field gap. You're telling me pitchers want to pitch me outer half so I can't pull? Okay, I'll just hit it lightly off that 310 sign. I can go all length of the field.
Time is called as the previous pitch was a ball 1-2. And again, when you're a hitter at that level, it's almost impossible to pitch to because, again, you bring up a guy like David Ortiz. The next one is upstairs for a ball. 2-2. You bring up a guy like David Ortiz, yeah, if you pitch him outside, he can wait back on that ball. Or if Mike Piazza had played at Fenway, he would have absolutely destroyed the pesky pole because I don't know if there's anybody who had a better bat speed on a late swing than that, as the next one is a ground out to second. But there's no way to pitch guys in a situation like that. Run comes in on the home run by Kovalchik. We go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. 4-3, Guy on top of Lindsey on SFBN. Bottom half of the 4th inning. It'll be the 12, 13, and 1 hitters due up. I don't think I've ever said that in my life. As Zach Zielinski to lead things off. First on the way to Zielinski is down and away for a ball, 1-0.
I've said that before, but it hasn't been since Little League.
I can legitimately say I don't think I've ever said the 12, 13th and the 12, 13, and 1 hitters coming up.
Wow.
The next pitch is over the inside corner for a strike to the left-handed Zielinski, 1-1. The next one is inside for a ball. 2-1, the count to Zielinski. Zach Rodriguez waiting on deck. Zielinski's been out in left field in this game. The 2-1. Down and in, 3-1. It's close.
That's a good spot to miss, though, down by the knees.
Yeah. If he takes it for a strike here, 2-2. If he hits it, all he's going to do is bound it down the first base line. The 3-1 is a breaking ball outside ball 4, so we'll reset the count at 0-1.
I like that, though, trying to work from behind with a breaking ball, knowing you might lose it if you miss out of the zone.
From the line, the 0-1. Fastball foul back. 0-2 the count.
Yeah, Zielinski just missed it. Anytime someone fouls it straight back like that on a line, just missed driving it to the outfield.
So we do have a new pitcher out there, Rich Kolasar, on the mound for a guy. 3 innings done in the books for Stefersky. The 0-2 is lined sharply off the glove of the first baseman and down the right field line. Zielinski with a leadoff single. Well, he was definitely looking to pull the ball pretty much that entire at bat.
Well, and you mentioned it in the first game. Right-handers don't really like that pitch down and in a tournament, but that's a lefty wheelhouse traditionally, and he got around that one, smoked it down the first base line.
I'm going to bring up Zach Rodriguez. Rodriguez, 2021 grad for Pennsbury High School, as the first pitch is up and away for a ball. 1-0, the count to Rodriguez. Said 13 hitters. I don't have enough room on the scorecard. The 1-0. Called strike inside corner. That was tailing down at the knees.
Now, I've got a theory on why left-handers feel so comfortable turning on pitches like that versus right-handers that I'd like to actually share with each other. I don't know if it's true, but I've got a theory as a right-hand hitter myself why that is the case.
The next one is down and away, 2-1.
As a right-hand hitter, anytime you hit a ball on the ground to the left side of the field, your coach tells you, you're trying too hard to pull the ball. You got to stay center away because there's going to be situations where we need you to hit it to the right side of the infield, move a runner over.
So next one down low, 3-1.
Anytime a left-hand hitter comes up, they're encouraged, especially with a runner on second base, pull the ball, move the runner over. So for a righty, grounding out to shortstop or third base is a bad thing, but for a lefty, if you ground out to second base, you do a job there. So I think some of it's natural, some of it's you're discouraged as a right-hander to pull the ball on the ground. I really think that has an impact in a lot of the ways that guys develop their swings at a younger age.
Never really thought about it that way, as the pitch was ball 4. So we'll go back to 0-1. I mean, mine is much more physics-based. The next one is lifted out into right center field. A leap at the wall, and it's off the fence. However, Zielinski had to stick at second base to protect against that ball being caught. So that is one long single. And it'll cycle the line up to the top of the order for Josh Martaccio. Maybe not physics, but biology, in that 80% of the world is right-handed. Now, it's just a straight-up statistical fact. Only 1/5 of the population of the world is left-handed. So with that in mind, the first one is tagged out into right field. A leap, and this one is caught at the wall Runners retreat to their bases. Martaccio is retired on a sharp line out for the first out of the inning. Zielinski back to second. Back to first is Rodriguez, and it'll bring up Eric Stradling. So with that being the case, lefties are going to see many, many more right-handed pitchers than left-handed pitchers. A right-handed pitcher is going to have a natural motion that's going to bring the ball from the left side of the plate to the right side of the plate as you see it from behind the plate or from a batter's perspective. So next one bounces up for a ball. 1-0 the count to Stradling. Therefore, left-handers are much more used to, especially with breaking balls, that ball sweeping across from left to right and coming down and in, so they're more attuned to swinging at it. Your theory absolutely bears merit from a basic strategic standpoint of baseball. And it's one that I definitely had not considered, as that one is off the glove of the pitcher Colasar. Everybody's going to be safe, and the bases are loaded for the final bat of the inning.
Well, it is interesting, too, when you consider this, right? So, obviously, you have those two factors at play. I would say, to your point, the whole biology, it's definitely a bigger factor, right? But that said, when you consider shifts at Major League Baseball level, there's a lot more shifts traditionally for left-hand hitters than there are for right. Now, that could be for the way that base path situations call for it naturally. However, there's just a lot more lefty pull hitters in comparison to right-hand pull hitters. It's changing now in the last 5-6 years or so. But what I'm trying to get at is, defensively you can shift for a left-hand batter, whereas a right-hander it's very difficult to come up with those shifts. So it's something that's really changed over the last 5 or 6 years.
1-0 to Benner, who's got the bases loaded as the next pitch is over for a strike. 1-1. Grounded out to second his first time up. He can really break this game open right now. And he'll be the last batter of the inning. He's the fifth man to bat this inning. Colasar is offering. Low for a ball.
Now, you were a switch hitter, so did you feel that on the left-hand side of the plate you naturally pulled the ball a little bit better than versus the right-hand side?
No, because I was just trying to make contact. I didn't care where the ball went. I was just better at making contact from the left side. The next one is bounced out towards third. Throw to first is in time for the out. Now, does that run count? Because that would have only been the second out of the inning. So does that run count is the question. We'll get the answer for you between innings. But we are heading to the fifth on SFBN. Top half of the fifth inning. That run does count for Lindsey, as it would have only been the second out of the inning had the 5-batter limit not happened. Therefore, we are tied at 3, heading to the top half of the fifth inning, and time is becoming a factor. Using the hour and 50-minute rule in place. Only got about 35 minutes of play in this one. There's a new pitcher on the mound. for Lindsey as the first pitch is bunted at by Cesarini. Offered at it, 0-1, is Eric Kolb. 6'4", 170-pound left-hander for Pennsbury High School. From the stretch, the 0-1. Tries to bunt his way on again, bunts it back towards the mound. Kolb up with it. Has to fire to first and throws it past the first baseman. Cesarini on his way into second, and he'll slide in safely. That's going to be a straight-up E1 the whole way. Good throw would have had him.
Yeah, that's a tough play, but definitely an error there.
Jake Millen stands in, an RBI single his last time up as he grounds one out towards third. Argus looks the runner back, throws on to first. The throw back to third, not in time. So even though he looked the runner back to second, moving up on the ground out is going to be Cesarini. So runner on third and one out for Greeley. So a chance to retake the lead. First one is smacked down the first base side, slicing foul, and that one will get out of play. 0-1, the count to J.D. Greeley. So you need a new baseball. From the stretch. The 0-1 cut on and missed. Boy, that was a nasty slider there.
That was filthy. Just dropped off of a table.
If you're a left-hander that can back foot a slider to a righty like that, you're going to have some pretty good success going forward.
Randy Johnson was famous for that, getting people to swing at things that would hit their feet at the end of it.
The next one is poked foul, first base out. Well, Randy Johnson was also famous for several other things, including throwing 100 miles an hour, but, Randy Johnson is a perfect example of a guy that you forgot played for a team. You forgot Randy Johnson played for the Expos.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Started his career in 1989 with the Expos.
There's people who don't know who the Expos are right now.
That's a frightening thought. The next pitch is upstairs for a ball. 1-2.
The 94 Expos, man, they should have won it all. I'll tell you what. I don't think Johnson was in Seattle at that point.
He was in Seattle by then.
But that was a team put together to win it all.
You look at some of the players on that team. First of all, the 1-2 upstairs for a ball. We know Delino DeShields Jr. You forget how good his dad was on those Expos teams. Delino DeShields, great second base. Well, yeah, he was second base because Marquise Grissom was in center. Mm-hmm. Larry Walker was at first. The next one, swing and a miss, strike three. Boy, if you are a left-hander who has a slider that can cut down and in and back foot a right-hander, but then pump gas at the knees on the outside corner, that's a pretty good combo to be able to get both righties and lefties out.
Yeah, and then with that fastball, if it has that two-seam trail to it.
And then there's moments like that as the run comes in to score on the wild pitch, and it's 4-3 guy on top.
That's always tough to get a run on a wild pitch.
That'll be an unearned run. The batter reached on an error.
But back to that point I was making. When a fastball from a lefty has that two-seam run, and right-handers are used to that angle from a righty, it looks like the ball's cutting an extra 2 to 3 inches. Even though it's not really, right? Even though it doesn't have as dramatic of a tail as it appears to have, it's just because you're not used to that different angle you're seeing that two-seamer from.
1-1 the count to Pfeiffer. Base is empty, 2 out, a run in. The next one is a breaking ball. Kind of hung up there a little bit, but locked Pfeiffer up. 1-2, the count to Wyatt Pfeiffer. Grounded out to first, his first time up back in the second inning. Check that the third inning as the next pitch is outside. 2-2 the count on Pfeiffer. If he reaches, the leadoff man, Luke Spencer, will be the final batter of the inning. The 2-2 is a ground ball right back to the mound. Kolb has it. Fires it on to first, and the side is retired. A run does come in to score, unearned. No hits, one error, and nobody left. We go to the bottom of the fifth. 4-3 Guy atop Lindsey on the SFBN. Bottom half of the fifth inning. New pitcher on the mound is Zachary Rodriguez. 6 foot, 176-pound right-hander for Pennsbury High School. Pennsbury has gotten very good in a lot of different things, including their academics, a very highly rated academic school. So if you got somebody who's got a pretty good GPA coming out of Pennsbury, you can pretty well understand that they are going to do well at the collegiate level if they're willing to put in the time and effort.
I tell kids all the time, it always helps to do well in school on your SATs because there's always going to be teams looking for guys who are fringe guys to help balance out guys who aren't necessarily the greatest academically.
Argus rips one foul down the third base side, 0-1.
Because for a lot of these teams to be able to give scholarship, it's a balance of who you're bringing in, SAT scores, GPAs, all that has to be factored in. It helps your chances to make a college roster if you do well academically.
Argus doubled his first time up and was thrown out trying to stretch it into a triple. He skies one out into right center field. Center fielder comes over and makes a nice basket catch cutting in front of the right fielder for the first out of the inning. One down, it'll bring up the catcher, Limoncelli.
Yeah, that's a nice snag in the gap. It looked like a ball that maybe the right fielder had the priority there, but whoever's out there in center, taking over.
Huh?
I'm not sure who the right fielder is, but I will say it hasn't exactly...
I'll give you $5.
Hasn't exactly flashed the leather, let's put it that way. The first Limoncelli is upstairs, 1-0. And so maybe a preemptive moment there from the center fielder saying, look, I'm not sure how this is going to go, therefore I'm going to take charge of this myself. Even though it was a little bit more of a difficult play for him, as the next one is a ground ball out towards third. Tough play. Nice pick. Good throw. Got him. That was nice on a lot of different levels, starting with the pick by J.D. Greeley. Coming in, charge, transfer, throw on the run. Very nicely done by Greeley out at third for the second out of the inning.
Millen with a nice stretch as well to give Greeley the nice target to throw to across the diamond. But to your point, Greeley doing all the difficult work on that play.
I'll bring on Matthew Edwards. Grounded out to second his first time up as the first one swung on and missed, but did not really expect to see that kind of zip from Rodriguez. Throws with a lot of arm. His body comes out in front, and the arm seems to trail a little bit behind. Mechanics a little better on that one as he misses down and away, 1-1. That's another thing that a lot of coaches who may be at the showcase are probably going to be looking for is consistency with the delivery. You saw two different deliveries there from Rodriguez. And that one, again, the arm trailing a little bit, but gets the strike on it. 1-2 the count. You want to be able to make sure that your arm is in sync with your body as you deliver, so you're getting the maximum power out of it, whether you're turning your hips to be able to basically lead your arm, but your arm follows through with it. The 0-2 is a ground ball. Check that. I will admit I lost the ball off the bat.
Well, I'll be honest with you. By the way that Edwards took a hack at that, it looked like he chopped on top of it, but somehow lined it over the shortstop's head.
And the way I saw the second baseman moving, I thought that that's where it was going to go. And then all of a sudden I see the ball bouncing out in left field.
Hey, listen, man.
I fully apologize on that one.
At least you're not a base runner who's moving on the pitch, and now you find yourself out at second base. I've been there, done that, so.
So I'll bring up J.J. O'Neill, the right fielder, who looks at a pitch low. 1-0 the count. I need some coffee.
I might have to go on a run myself.
It's from the stretch. The 1-0. Down and away for ball. 2-0. If anybody happens to be in the area of Shout Stadium and can swing by Starbucks in Dixon City, I'll pre-order on the app and I'll get whatever you want too.
So you're a Starbucks guy now.
The next one is lifted out into center field. Well hit, but camping under it is the center fielder for the final out of the inning. No runs, one hit, no errors, and one left on base. We go to the sixth, 4-3, guy on top. Top half of the sixth inning. It'll be the top of the order, Luke Spencer, Zane Januszewski, and Zach Luksick. Spencer 0 for 2, now facing Eric Kolb for the first time. The first offering is over for a strike, nothing in one.
Little off-speed pitch there. Not sure if it was a changeup or that little bit of a breaking slider down and in, but a good spot inside the Spencer.
So next one is down for a ball. 1-1. I'm not an expert, but based off of the pace that this game has taken, I would venture to say that we are likely in our last inning, as we've got 19 minutes left on the timer for this game. So unless things start to change up a little bit, the next pitch is over for a strike. 1-2. Unless things start to really change up time-wise, I don't know how we get 2 more innings in, especially with Lindsey trailing, so they would need their ups in the bottom of the 7th as well. The 1-2, down and in for a ball, 2-2. But however long it is, we're going to be here for it.
That's the case. A couple of weeks ago in Stroudsburg, we thought we were done with the final game after the 7th.
That one is chopped. That is a fair ball down the third base line. Argus tried to make a throw on it, but really that was just way too deep in the hole. So that'll be an infield single for Spencer.
Argus was looking at us when he threw that ball over first from the angle. It was just a Hail Mary towards the other side of the infield. But to the point I was making about that tournament in East Stroud a couple of weeks ago, we in the last game of the day got through 7, and the team decided, you know what, let's play one more extra inning. Let's get some last licks for everybody. So we stuck around. We did all 36 innings that day.
I have the first pitch is low to Januszewski, 0-1. I have been there before when you're asked, oh, hey, can you do stats for our scrimmage? And basketball coaches say that, oh, yeah, we're going to play an extra 10-minute overtime. Well, the program won't let me do overtime because it's not a tie game. The next pitch is thrown back over to first. And Spencer in safely. Runners have run pretty much at will in this game. So, not surprising to see the throw over to first. You did have the starting pitcher. Another lefty as there goes the runner. Lemoncelli double clutches. His throw goes into center field, but the slide made it difficult for Spencer to advance. Stolen base for Luke Spencer. And a 1-1 count on Januszewski. It's the 1-1 fastball on the inside corner, strike 2. 1-2 the count to Januszewski. Runner goes again as the pitch bounces up for a ball. It'll be another steal for Spencer, and he'll go into third base standing up. 2-2 the count on Januszewski.
Got a good jump. It's almost like Cole forgot about him over at second base. He had a nice lead and was moving on the pitch.
The 2-2. Popped up. Foul up over the top. We'll go again from 2-2. Yeah, he really got a monster jump. And sometimes you can actually get a better jump going from second to third than you can first to second because you can take a little bit more of a walking lead. The 2-2. Curveball misses high. There's a B. And it's kind of taken a perch on the backstop behind, well, the backstop's obviously behind the plate. The 3-2 is bounded foul. We'll go again from 3-2.
I'll tell you what, that's a pretty intelligent B because it knows Januszewski up at the plate in the right-hand batter's box. That B's right in front of us, shielded from any foul ball coming back to us.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. I don't know if fans can see exactly where we're sitting, but that's a wise decision by that B to park itself.
The next one, curveball swung on and missed for strike 3. Well, and now he's moved down the first base line, so I was more thinking that B was kind of like giving us the eye over here. All right, which one of you?
I was just hoping there was no foul ball straight back.
Luxick, the batter. Reached on an error, reached on a single. The first pitch is up high for a ball, 1-0.
I'll tell you what, I don't want to give myself a broadcaster's jinx, but I have yet to be stung by a B. It has not happened. I'm
on a broadcast or
in general, in my life. It's never happened.
Wow.
It is not a pain I could share with anyone yet.
So next pitch is inside for a ball, 2-0. The 2-0 called strike, 2-1. Summer down in Vero Beach. We've referenced a couple of times. There was a restroom on top of the stadium where the press area was, as that is lifted out into deep left field. Going back on it is Zielinski. He will make the catch back on the warning track. Tagging and coming in to score is Spencer. It's a sac fly. And now 5-3. And the whole point of mentioning that is there was a hornet's nest that had kind of set up shop in that restroom behind the press box at Holman Stadium in Vero Beach.
Sounds wonderful.
Now, this is also not a very big area. It's about the area is honestly smaller than this marquee that we're in right now, which looks to be about 10 by 10.
Right.
The next pitch is over for a strike, 1-1. Well, I don't know if you have ever encountered a hornet before. But if you have, you don't want to. I mean, honestly, with the way that they play, I'd rather encounter the Charlotte Hornets than an actual one.
Oof.
The next one is over for a strike, 1-2 the count to...
What did Terry Rozier ever do to you, man? Oh, man, that's a burn.
Beautiful curveball dropped in for strike 3, and the inning comes to a close. But a run comes across on a sacrifice fly. We head to the bottom of the 6th. 5-3, Guy on top. Bottom half of the 6th inning. Guy leading Lindsey 5-3. Lindsey coming to the plate. It'll be Kyle Krupa, Alexander Evans, and Evan Holohan. Krupa pop out to second his first time up. The first on the way. Cut on and miss. Some gas thrown there by Rodriguez. 0-1 the count to Krupa. From the stretch, the 0-1. Chopped foul, third base side, 0-2, the count to Krupa. Our next teams for the third game of the day have arrived on site. You can hear the clanging down in the batting cage. Someone bounces up there, 1-2.
I always loved that sound arriving to a facility like this. Just hearing people in the batting cage, hearing the game going on. There's nothing like it.
Rodriguez 1-2. Swinging and a miss, strike 3. Tailing action on that pitch there. 1 down. I'll bring up Alexander Evans, who struck out his first time up. That's the first strikeout for Rodriguez of the day. Got a pair of flyouts to center and a ground out sandwiched around a single last inning.
Darren Clark, not Rodriguez.
Correction, it's Darren Clark out there on the mound. The first pitch is a strike to Evans, 0-1. And you know how I would have known that was Darren Clark? Is if I had been looking at the right roster. The next one is chopped foul. I don't want to take anything away from Darren Clark, who has thrown 2 very good innings thus far.
Well, I feel like that's partially on me as well, because I kept looking at my roster saying, I don't have Rodriguez on there. So I did not have the courage of my conviction to say anything to you.
From the stretch, the 0-2. Outside for a ball, and it's 1-2. My apologies, I was looking at the Lindsey roster at number 12, and we'll just stop there. The 1-2.
Whoa.
High in the air to deep left center field. That ball is going to be tracked down out there on the dead run by the center fielder for the second out of the inning. Evans gave that one a ride, but hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark.
And I know we had that conversation earlier about how this is a high fence around the field to keep home runs in, but to your point, that's the deepest part of this sandbox stadium almost.
I'll tell you what that is. That ball is out there basically where the right back would be playing defense in soccer. That's where the soccer lines are out there. Is the first one on the way to Holohan is low for a ball, 1-0. As we mentioned, it's a multi-purpose facility. If you're looking at it, these yellow lines are the soccer lines. That ball was tracked down way down out there.
Yeah, there's no
almost out by the corner flag.
There's no American football lines down, but that's a touchdown. That's 6 points in the end zone.
The next one is over for a strike, 1-1. The count to Holohan. I mean, that was a shot. You should get something for that.
Imagine playing in Yankee Stadium when it was 490 to left center field, flying out.
The next one is over for a strike, 1-2. Imagine playing at the Polo Grounds when it was 253 to left.
But if you hit it straight center, it's 505. You better pull the ball. Crazy to me to think that that's how stadiums were.
Sportsman Park in St. Louis, same way. From the stretch. The 1-2. Outside for a ball, and it's 2-2. The 2-2. Down and away for a ball, and it's 3-2. Now, again, given where we are on the time limit, I wonder if they just let a couple more batters bat in this inning and call it good.
Yeah, they might just give a couple of guys some licks. I'm watching Darren Clark come set as this misses low for the reset. But when he comes set, tell me if it reminds you of a relief pitcher who wore number 42 for the Yankees. I don't know if he's stealing his delivery here, but it looks a lot like how Mariano Rivera used to come set on the mound.
I mean, if you're going to emulate somebody, it's not a bad guy. The next pitch is swung on and missed for strike 3. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Clark. Well, Lindsey is sprinting back out onto the field, so it looks like we're going to try to play a 7th on SFBN. Rocco Valvano to lead things off for Guy here in this 7th inning as the first pitch from the new pitcher, the former right fielder J.J. O'Neill, is over for a strike, 0-1. Valvano has grounded back to the catcher and has struck out 0 for 2. The next one is a fastball on the inside corner for a strike, 0-2. Stretch. The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Well, O'Neill just came in and is firing on those first 3 pitches.
That's what you call cheese, cheese, and more cheese. 3 fastballs.
Mild, medium, and sharp cutter.
I'm a fan of Gouda myself, but...
Well, I mean, there is nothing quite like a good smoked Gouda. Kovalchik stands in. First pitch is over for a strike, 0-1. Kovalchik briefly gave his team a lead with a 4th inning homer. He's also singled. Single runs in the 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 6th for Guy. Next punch is over for strike 2. O'Neill sets. The 0-2.
Ooh.
Did it hit him or I think he got his hand.
Question is, though, did he go around?
Did he offer? You know, now you mentioned Gouda, you mentioned the hard cheese. Now I really want a sandwich from my favorite place back home.
You got me thinking. What place we talking now?
It's a local place.
Okay.
Down in Delaware County. The 0-2 is tagged out into right center field.
Wow.
Leaping and holding on to it is the new right fielder. Can't quite see the number on him. But either way, it's the 2nd out of the inning.
Well, I'll tell you, now that the 3 cheeses there, I'm just thinking in the future for a strikeout call on 3 fastballs, what cheeses I'm going to go to. Because do I use cheddar, mozzarella, Parmesan, Gouda? How do I mix them in? What 3 cheeses do I pick,
If I can give a little bit of advice here. Some of the first pitch is outside to Myers, 1-0. From veteran to younger broadcaster. It's going to sound good in your head. It's not going to come out good on air.
You got to try it, though. You got to. I'm in that camp.
That one is sliced down the right field line, and that ball is off the wall. Holds him to a single. Myers now 2 for 3 on the day. And I thought I had to have a catchphrase. I also then realized that baseball has been broadcast on the radio since 1921. Trust me, everybody who's had a good catchphrase has already had it taken.
That's valid.
Snap throw down to first. They got him. Limoncelli once again displays the arm, throwing behind the runner. And the side is retired. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Last licks for Lindsey, down 5-3. Bottom half of the 7th inning, it'll be Brennan to lead things off. Brennan, Zielinski, and Rodriguez to face off against Kolbicka now on the mound. The first to Brennan is a low for a ball, 1-0. Brennan, a single. This last time up. The next one is sharply hit on one hop out to second. Fire on to first, and there's one away. And you can understand why we're playing a bottom of the 7th inning again. We are over time a little bit on this game, but you're playing this half inning because there were 3 guys left in the order for Lindsey in order to make sure that every single player, all 13 of them, got 2 at-bats in the game. So it absolutely makes sense. The first pitch is over for a strike to Zielinski, who singled and scored his first time up. The 0-1.
Ooh.
Caught him on the foot, I believe. That's not fun.
Yeah, even though it's a breaking ball, to get hit in that area, it's always it's a stinger, as I like to say. There's just certain parts where you just, no matter how fast or slow the pitch comes in, you just don't want to get hit there.
It's from the wind. The next one is bounced out towards first. First baseman charges. Fields takes it to the bag himself. Nice play there by Luxick.
Nice little 3 unassisted.
2 down, and it'll bring up Rodriguez, the real Zach Rodriguez, not Sean Rodriguez.
You're thinking about your Tampa days.
Yeah, right. Or last year's Phillies, where he angered the fans. The first on the way is over for a strike. 0-1 the count. Rodriguez singled in his only at bat. The wind and the 0-1. Down and in, 1-1. Into the windup, the 1-1.
Ooh.
Breaking ball gets away from him. 2-1 the count to Zach Rodriguez. The 2-1, another breaking ball that misses up. 3-1 the count to Rodriguez.
Yeah, that one not as bad as the first breaking ball, but again, failing to get on top of it and really see that snap to hit the bottom half of the zone with the pitch.
So next one is a fastball over for a strike, and the count now full 3-2 on Rodriguez. The 3-2. Called strike 3 on the inside corner to lock them up, and that will do it. Guy wins game 2 of the day by a score of 5-3. We'll be back with our third game a little bit later on.